Okay, so now for the Q&A plus talk. Don't keep the book yet. We might refer to the book later. Anyone wants to, any feedback or question from past few days practice? Any issues, any obstacle? So regarding the personal interview, so far one person come and see me. But let's say you don't want to see me one person, but you want to ask something personal, but you're a bit paiseh, you can rephrase the question. You say, what if a practitioner experienced this? Something very general question. You don't have to say a certain person, don't have to give name. So like that also can. So you can,
You have to have pieces of paper, then they write.
If you want to make appointment, can, don't have to questionnaire.
Write so they are anonymous.
Okay, anonymous also can. Yeah, also can. Yeah, if you want to be very anonymous, you can write a piece of paper, then pass here. Before the session, you just put here. Then I just read out the question also can. No issues. All okay. Yeah, so we take the one from the back. Yeah. Look at the phone. Okay, if you 如果你用那个手机不是用来娱乐就没问题了。娱乐就是看戏咯，听歌曲咯，跳舞、唱歌这些不可以了。那个 OK 那个需要讲的就讲咯OK。Company 工作的如果很重要的就看了，尽量不要去看太久了OK， 因为现在你是拿 leave 嘛，对吗？对咯，就现在不要做工了，你拿 leave 了除非他给你薪水了，你就看咯OK， 还有 any question？ Yeah。Okay.
It's like you said, we say that anything that's not given, we cannot take part for breaking the precept.
Yeah.
So in this case, the monkeys obey precept.
Monkey, okay, we don't count monkey. These are called training rules. The monkey or the animals are not training. To them, anything in the wild is to them can take one. Anything by nature. So they do not have this concept. They are working on the animal brain level. So for humans, we have a higher brain function. So we are training to restrain. So animal nature we want to take. If you go to a lot of these undeveloped countries, if let's say the children are not educated, they will just take also, they will steal and whatever not. So if we are fortunate enough to be educated, then we should practice restraint. Yeah, we are creating the karma to be like animal. Yeah. Okay, no problem. We call this negative reinforcement. Negative traits, we keep on so encouraging it. Yeah.
But if talking about monkeys, actually they also are like humans, right?
Like humans, not necessarily. I don't buy into Darwin's theory of evolution. Yeah.
So cannot be counted. They are almost human.
Not really. So the Buddhist point of view, we have this Aganya Sutta, which talk about humans who actually devolve from devas, heavenly beings. Heavenly beings, they come to this earth, come to this planet, they kepo, they eat something, they test something, then they cannot fly up anymore. So then that's how humans started. So that's the very origin, Buddhist version of this human origin. Okay, so if you want to talk about Darwin's theory of evolution, who has studied that before? Nobody. So we hearsay Darwin's theory of evolution. There's some monkey or some chimpanzee, then humans come from there, right? So Darwin's theory of evolution got two kinds. One is the theory of origin of species. Where do all these species come from? So they will tell you, linked to very, very small symptom, simple life form like a bacteria or plankton or something, very small life form, then it change, then become a fish, then from fish become a lizard can crawl on land and become a land animal and stuff like that. So this is the theory of the origin of species. Theory of origin of species. Yeah. So if we believe in Darwin's theory of evolution, all of us were fish before, were crabs. Our human species. So that is how science can believe in such thing. Okay, then the other theory of evolution is about the survival of fetus. So that one might make more sense. Survival of fetus means they will normally give a classical example. Two species of the same race, for example, they give you two butterfly. Now here a lot of this animal. Let's say two butterfly. One butterfly is, let's say, green color. The other butterfly, very colorful one, lot of color. So in this kind of environment, which butterfly do you think will survive longer? Green, because can camouflage, right? Can hide with the leaves, can whatever, hide with the leaves. So the one that is colorful or out of color will be eaten by the predator. Yeah, so over time, if let's say the environment never change, then the gene pool of the butterfly will be those green color butterfly. So the gene pool should reduce, should shrink. Yeah, that means the one that is out of color will die off. Over time, they don't breed, they do not produce offspring. So only the one with green color genes will produce. Yeah, we have offspring. So the future generation will be green color. Even though there's maybe one or two out of color, they will die off. So that is survival of the fetus. Survival of fetus. So the gene pool do not increase. The gene pool decrease. That's the idea. So the butterfly will remain a butterfly. The butterfly won't change into a bird. The butterfly won't change into something else. Yeah, so that is called theory of evolution. The gene pool decrease. It won't increase. It won't change to something more advanced, more sophisticated. In fact, you get lesser and lesser. That means it will streamline and get narrower and narrower. So that's the theory of evolution. Yeah, so of the survival of the fetus. So that's the I took biology class last time when I was in secondary school, O levels. So I was asking my biology teacher, my school biology teacher. Last time there was this X-Men, the cartoon and the movie, these mutants. And they showed X-Men can shoot laser from the eye or can mind reading ability. A bit like these higher knowledges we talked about yesterday, something like that. So I was very curious. I asked this bio teacher in class, can humans evolve to become a mutant? And guess what's the biology the teacher's answer? If a person mutate, if there's a mutation, it is a 99.999% chance cancerous and you'll die off. So basically, mutation to evolve to change to another species is practically impossible based on the mutation point of view. So the Darwin's theory of evolution of origination of species, for a small little fish to evolve to become a land lizard, you think what's the possibility? The fish, in order to change. One day imagine, let's say, a human can give birth to a flying bird. Do you think it's possible? It's impossible. The human will remain as human. The fish remain as a fish. Right? So imagine if, let's say, the fish produce an offspring, something wrong, they'll die off. They'll die once they get born in the water. They cannot breathe how to go to land. Right? They'll die off already. Right? So mutation will die out of cancer or whatever reason. So the probability of evolving to a more sophisticated species is illogical. It's contrary to the mutation and everything. So that's the problem with the Darwin's theory of origination of species. So anyway, I don't want to give a science talk. I'm just trying to make sense of the Buddhist suttas. Yeah? The Buddhist sutta talk about this, and the so-called science we learn in school is this. So nowadays people are asking, why the youth don't come to religious places or worship anymore? So because they study science, they tell religion nonsense. Religion is superstitious. Why we come to religion for what? So they want to do well in school. They're trained to be logical. Be common sense, logical, very rational thinking. Then you ask them to come to Buddhist center lah. You do things so superstitious one. Yeah. So you must market in a more scientific way. Buddhism, you meditate to help you, got scientific evidence, neuroscientific evidence, mindfulness-based therapy, all these scientific things must tell them. So this one is the more esoteric kind of stuff I'm still researching, but never mind. Okay, so anyway, back to this, you were asking about monkeys earlier, right? Yeah, so that's my answer lah. So monkeys are animal realm, human is human realm. But we said mind is impermanent. Mind is impermanent. So a person, why can be reborn to a different realm or change? Because at that particular lifetime, they choose to be behaving like a deva, or choose to behave like an animal, or choose to behave like a hell realm being. So it depends on your karma and action you do. So you change your mental frequency. So if your mental frequency is increased or lower to whatever realm, then if a person pomchak, then they go to that realm. So that's the idea. Yeah. So it's got to do with your state of mind. That's one thing. So animals also can be more noble than humans. Like there are some viral videos, maybe a trained dog or something, or even a non-trained animal. They can rescue a child, an infant. Some child maybe lost in the zoo or dropped in some enclosure, and the ape or whatever, right, go and protect the child, carry the child up. Yeah. So there are animals with maybe higher kind of function, have certain more spiritual. So if you want to talk about maybe Jataka tales, so maybe it makes some sense. Maybe got some truth to Jataka tales. If animals can behave such way, documented video clips of animals saving humans. Yeah, so it's possible that they might be bodhisattvas, animal bodhisattvas. Okay.
But do we need metta for that also, right? Remember when Buddha was actually meditating under the Bodhi tree, then the monkey and the elephant brought food.
Yeah.
Right? And now, with this world today, let's say the monkey comes and sees the monkey, then he's sorry. Should we have metta for it and let it go or smack it?
Depends on how important is the food. What is the if you think you can afford to spare the food, then by all means let them take. Yeah.
But it's also not right to smack the animal, right?
We are not training the monkey, so I discourage smacking the monkey. If they attack you or they get their entire colony to attack you, then it will be very problematic. Yeah. Yes.
So, how does, from Dharma perspective, how does human evolve?
Human evolve. Okay, so based on a few of the scriptures which I read, so when the humans sort of were first descended from the devas, we have like a very long lifespan, as close to the deva realms. So it is believed that humans can actually live until like estimate 80,000 years old. Used to be that long. Then the more humans live, the more we, let's say, develop greed and anger, then the human beauty and lifespan will decrease accordingly. Yeah, it will decrease, so become like less and less and less. And now we are at the 100-year era, about 100 years old, the human life around there, yeah? Plus minus. And it will continue to so-called decrease until 10 years old. 10 years old is like the maximum average human lifespan. So at the age of a few years, they can reproduce already. Human can get married, so reproduce and have children. So that is the lowest point of the human so-called devolution. And then there will be a point of time where these humans decided not to anyhow kill anymore, not to do all the wrong things. So when their beauty increased, over time, right, then their lifespan increase back to 80,000 years old. Yeah, so then at the time of the human evolve again back to 80,000 years old, then the next Buddha will come. The next predicted Buddha will be the Maitreya Buddha. Yeah. Yeah, the Chinese portray as a laughing Buddha. Yeah, so, but the next Buddha, we do not know how they look like. Yeah, so that's the future Buddha. Yeah, they have that. Yeah. It is also mentioned in Theravada scripture, so it's recognized by both. Yeah. So in the Mahayana and Theravada, cosmology is very different. So Theravada, we only look at one universe at one time. So there are past universes, future universes. So all traditions agree, all Buddhist traditions agree. So the future Buddha, the Maitreya Buddha, happened within this so-called universe lifespan. Yeah, then there are past Buddhas also. There are Buddhas before this universe. So all traditions agree with that. So, but Mahayana Buddhism, they have multiverses. Multiverses. They have other universe. That means they believe in other pure lands. That means outside this universe, there's another place where another Buddha is still alive. So they call this like maybe the Western Pure Land. The Amitabha Buddha is still there. Or there's an Eastern Pure Land. There's another Buddha still there called the Medicine Buddha, something like that. So there are many, many Pure Lands. Still existing, they say still existing. Yeah? So some people, the Pure Land practitioner, why they must chant the certain Buddha's name? Maybe Amitabha Buddha's name. Because they want to be reborn there. They want to meet the Buddha there. So the so-called, if you, let's say you want to research this Amitabha's story, the life story, it is actually based on some of the Theravada suttas also, on when the human lifespan was maybe 80,000 years old, very long, several thousands of years old. So that's why that Buddha can still be alive, even though Buddhism has so-called many thousand years, 2,500 years. So the Pure Land practitioners today still believe Amitabha Buddha is still alive. So they believe the lifespan is very long, so they call him the Buddha of infinite life. Infinite life, yeah, long lifespan. Okay, yeah. Oh, sorry, I asked this person asked first. Dia Tan, right? Yeah. Five khandas. Okay, five khandas. Okay, so the five aggregates, five khandas, five aggregates, they are basically five in one. So you can split into two, basically nama, rupa. Nama is the mind, the mental aspect. Rupa is the form. Yeah, rupa is the form. So the form, rupa, is the first aggregate. That's the four elements. Anything supposedly tangible, so that is the four elements. And you cannot have four elements by itself without the mind. The moment you know the four elements exist, you need the mind for it to know it exists, right? So it works together. Nama, rupa, mind, matter is together. You cannot say, I only want to have mind, no matter, or only matter, no mind. So it's kind of related. So when you observe this, let's say, you use your eye, let's say you use your eye to look at the book here, And this is there's a form, there's a shape and whatever not. So there's a form, and the second aggregate is feeling. Whether you like the color, you don't like the color, you like the shape, don't like the shape. So you have feelings, pleasant, unpleasant, neutral feelings. Yeah? And then the third aggregate is perception. Now what do you label this? You call this a chanting book, for example. So this is called perception. Based on what you experienced before, you try to make sense of what you're perceiving now. So it's called perception. And the fourth aggregate is mental formation. Every time you think or you create this new awareness, then that is called mental formation. So it's closely related. So the last one is awareness, your consciousness. So the fact you're paying attention to this book, you're using eye consciousness. And if you're hearing to what I'm saying, you're using your ear consciousness. So this consciousness jumping here and there, that is creating new formations all the time. Yeah, it's creating new formation. Next moment you might be feeling or seeing there's a new formation, new formation, new formation, new formation. So it's working like that all the time. Okay, so the five, let's say you want to meditate, if you observe the elements, all the five aggregates are there. You observe the certain sensation, maybe heat, for example, you talk about heat. So that's the first element, the first aggregate, there's a heat element. And then you like the heat or you don't like the heat or you find it neutral, that's feeling. Maybe you find it too hot, very uncomfortable, or it's warm, very nice, right? So different feelings. And then you have perception, you call this the fire element or the heat element. And all the names, whatever you want to call it. So that's perception. So mental formation, the moment your attention runs there, so that is your mental formation. And consciousness is basically the attention to the warmth. Yeah. Okay. Does it answer your question? I cannot hear you. Do you have a spare mic? Yeah, there's another mic here, so you can pass the mic around for this. Okay.
During meditation, sometimes it's very hard to see the five skandha.
Yeah.
So the only way we can start, because I think it need calmness for us to see the khandhas.
Okay.
Is it the way?
Yeah, so you don't have to see all five, you can do one by one, one at a time. If you can multitask, you see more, then that's fine. If you cannot, you just see one, that's also fine. The whole idea is as long as you reflect on the impermanence, that's the most important thing, the right reflection. A person can see the khandhas, they observe some changes, but can have wrong reflection. They want to control. Why is it moving? They want to control. Then the more they observe, then the more suffering. Yeah. So whatever thing you observe, you need to have the right reflection.
A simple word is the impermanence.
Yeah, you can use that, or you can also use loving kindness first, wish you well and happy, then followed by impermanence. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, all right. Yeah, so Mary, yeah.
Bhante, I need to ask 回向功德，好像我们回向功德，我们是回向给往生者呢，还是可以回向给前世我们的前世的冤亲债主，还是什么？
呀，两样都可以。两个都可以。
在世的父母亲。
在世就是未来啊。
没有
现在，OK。现在。
像他们身体不健康，然后回向给他们。
所以通常呢，如果我们是用修行的方式，就是回向给一切众生咯，大家啦，一切众生啦。如果你要一个一个来，通常我们就说那个往生者会比较利益到啦，会比较利益到啦，其他的人可能没有比较少了，这样子咯。可是如果我们 愿一切众生的话那个功德比较大了。
放他的名字，然后愿一切的众生还是什么？
也可以，也可以，就是你要给我们就做一个示范就是今天我们要讲这个持经嘛 ，We are going to talk about this loving kindness。所以不管用什么，你们听得懂华语哦。我们不管用什么目标都好不管用什么打坐目标都好都可以走荷兰的，可以走这个有贪欲啦，或者有嗔恨心，一定会有的。
贪嗔痴
贪嗔痴会污染到我们的这个打坐目标。比如说我们这个修这个慈心愿一切众生快乐比如说这个是中道了，如果我们偏的话给这个中道这个慈心是来克服嗔恨心嗔恨心就是你生气了所以这个慈心是来克服这个嗔恨心如果这个慈心被这个贪欲污染到呢，会变成怎么样？ So if loving kindness you get contaminated with greed, we call this
贪恶心的
personal affection， 不同的情绪的变成不同的情绪。所以我们可以做一个示范就是说你现在愿你的亲人快乐你愿你喜欢的人快乐会有什么感受？会有什么情绪？有吗？有一种情绪吗？
当我们回向功德，我们一想到那个人，就是那个东西是不是这样？
不是这样，你先听我解释你先示范你愿自己喜欢的人，你的家人还是你的朋友你愿他们快乐你有一种情绪吗？有一种
开心
OK 有一种感觉
感觉是很开心
OK。那现在我们愿一切众生快乐，
也是
开心，会有不一样的开心吗？
开心一点点不一样
有些不一样所以通常呢，我们如果愿自己喜欢的人快乐，会比较会有这个 personal affection 有一些执着啦，有一些执着personal affection 不是中道了所以我们许这个愿愿自己的朋友或者亲人快乐那个福报不会比这个中道的慈心大我们愿一切众生快乐会比较阔了。
像比如那个病人呢住在医院我们要帮他回向功德
如果病人的话最好呢就是在他的身边然后鼓励他想这个善的念头咯，这是最利益的啦最能利益到的
谢谢
OK any other question? Yeah.
Just now you mentioned
Okay.
Just now you mentioned if you behave in a way like Deva in the human realm, so most likely you may reborn in that realms, right? So does it mean for lay person we behave like not Sangha kind of nobility? Are we going to be a reborn in a human or lower, no matter what?
It don't have to be a Sangha kind of nobility. So the Deva realm, you can actually it is mentioned a lot of these so-called Deva related stories can be found in this Deva Vatu, I think, in the Khuddaka Nikaya. So basically the Deva state of mind there are many spectrum of Devas. So most of them, the minimum requirement is you need to be a good person. As long as you're a good person, you're kind-hearted, or let's say you observe the precepts, you can actually be reborn in most of the Deva realms. Yeah, but if you want to talk about the higher devas like the Brahmas and higher, you may need some kind of concentration. So basically, most of the sensual devas or the sensual deva planes got how many deva planes? To Chatumarika Deva, Tavatingsa, Yama, Tusita, Nima, Raj, and Nisparanimita. So total there are 6, about 6 or 7. Yeah? 6 or 7 these sensual deva realms. 6 or 7 sensual deva realms. So the ones that we go to the temples, we see those guardian devas, they wear like general clothing. We call this sensual deva realms. So as long as you do some good, some charity and good thoughts, you are kind to people, you observe 5 precepts. It's possible to be like a deva. Yeah. Okay. Any other questions?
If we are not perfect in
You pass the mic around so the others can hear the question.
Bhante, suppose that we never keep our 5 precepts well. Sometimes we also make a little bit of mistake in the 5 precepts. Yeah. So will we fall into the 4 woeful planes?
Yeah, okay, so we call these training rules. So in order to really break the precept, there must be intention behind. No?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so like accidentally step on the ant or kill the fly accidentally doesn't break the precept yet. So the whole idea is to train our intention. So next time, be more careful and that kind of stuff. Yeah. So the whole idea is if let's say there is a person who break the precept, that's why we have the confession. At the end, we have this asking forgiveness from the triple gem. It's more like self-correction. Yeah, more like acknowledging the mistake and for self-improvement. Yeah, you want to transform yourself. So that's the idea. You have to we know our weakness, we acknowledge it, and we want to improve. That's the idea.
Do we have to do that every night? Because I only noticed that when we attend the sutta class, then at the end of the offering of merits, then we also do the one asking for forgiveness.
Yeah, so the every night one is good to have. Some people want to do it every moment. Depends on how intense you want to do the reflection, because this is official kind of meditation called Sila Nusati, mindfulness of the precepts. So some people always mindful, whether they are pure with the precept, that kind of thing. So some people take it to the extent of like every moment. Yeah. So if you want to do it every night, it's a good thing. So in the Thai tradition, in our chanting, also have.
So we should do it nightly when we do our evening chanting.
Yeah, if you're doing evening chanting, it's good to have it inside. Yeah.
So let's say, at work, sometimes you really, it's really unavoidable, right? When because any disagreement, of course, both parties not very happy with each other. So if suddenly I will have this sort of feeling, Bhante, what should I do in order not to break the precept?
Yeah, I think disagreements and arguments are very common everywhere. So the whole idea is as long as we keep on our familiarize with our practice, and these chances of breaking the precept will be lesser. Yeah. So the idea is every moment is a test. So if you still can break the precept, that means you're still not good enough, then need to improve, like that, Yeah. Yeah. So the idea is if you have argument, you don't have to lie, don't have to lie, or don't have to shout or scold, don't have to have harsh speech.
Yeah, we don't do that.
Yeah. So it's good. It's nothing wrong have argument, but as long as you don't break any of the precept, it's okay.
So, however, Bhante, you still mean that we have to be forbearing towards the other party.
Yeah, forbearing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, forbearing.
Even we know that this is not our mistake. but are you trying to tell me that I have to do in this way? Yeah.
Okay, so if let's say we perceive somebody wrong us, somebody wrong us, then if they do not, first is have a dialogue, have a conversation. That means you need to clarify any misconception, clarify any. Sometimes you might perceive the person doing wrong, but actually they might be thinking something else or doing something else. So you need to clarify first. If this doesn't go well, if no matter how you discuss, they still insist that they make clear to you they want to do harm to you or do something wrong to you, then at least you are clear that they are in the wrong. Yeah. So if let's say no matter what they don't want to apologize or what, then try to stay away, and also you try to let go, forgive, let go.
But sometimes it's really very difficult if you are in the same department. Yeah, that they are very arrogant. Yeah, they feel that whatever the word they say is a rule that you have to do it. Yeah. So it's like times that I really got to hold back. So I really sometimes ask myself, am I patient enough, or my patience already run out?
Yeah. So it depends on the situation. Are they your superiors? Are they your bosses? So if let's say they are, then no choice, right? But if let's say
we are just colleagues.
Yeah, if they are like not your boss, it's just like same level or lower, then not so nice. Yeah. So they are creating their own kind of karma. Their personal relations, their interpersonal kind of thing. They're creating this barrier for themselves, lah. So if let's say you behave in a certain manner that you don't want to be friends with them, I think it's very normal. If they do this kind of thing, they want to boss around, very natural, people want to stay away from them. So it will be their karma not to have many friends. Yeah.
Yeah, I will stay away. I will definitely stay away from these people because, like you say, you have to know your intention. You know your own intention.
Yeah.
If you are breaking the karma, breaking the precept or not.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Bante.
Okay. All right. Okay. Any other questions? Okay. One in the back. Yeah.
Ante，我想问一下，护法神是什么？
护法神啊，就是那些天神啊。
就是刚才你们讲那个天神对吗？
天神保护佛法的。
哦。
因为天神有很多种，坏的天神也有，坏的天神也有啊。
你怎么知道天神？因为我听人家讲天神会在这边，就不知道就。
我也是看不到看不到啊。就是我们相信啦，有护法神啦。
护法神就是天神啦，就是保护我们的啦。
对，保护那些有修行的不是保护每个人保护有修行的因为这些天神呢，也是要有福报嘛，也是要有这个创造这个善业因为在天堂呢，没有人挨饿，没有穷人在天堂，所以如果他们要做善事就要来人间所以他们帮谁？
帮人类啦，就是帮人类啦。
通常是帮比较有功德的人
好像不小心跌倒，然后忽然间要跌倒，可是变成有时候没有跌倒，就是有人保护了，是这样的命令对吗？
可能可能，可能。
谢谢 ，Thank you。
So the Buddha give an example, on why devas come down. 其实这些护法神那些在天上不想下来的，他们觉得人间很臭的，很肮脏的，好像垃圾桶这样，不想进去了，不想下来人间了，那些这个。Bhuma Deva 那些 Earthbound deities 他们住在这边的，比如说树神山神他们已经在这边了他们就没办法了，就在这边那些在比较高等他们不会下来的 不想下来的所以好像佛陀给一个例子有一个 Brahmin 一个 Brahmin priest 他已经冲好凉了，他穿这个白衣然后他就问佛陀这些天神会不会下来帮人类？那佛陀就给一个例子他就讲你看到那边有一堆泥土了 ，there's a pool of mud 一个很湿的泥土了。他就问这个 Brahmin， 你想不想跳进去吗？刚刚冲完凉了，你穿白衣，要不要跳进去吗？当然不要啦。所以他说天生也不想下去，天生也不想下来人间的然后他说，如果比如说在一个泥土里面有金银财宝的你要跳进去吗？他跟人说可以不用紧，我跳了，我又冲凉一次了，不用紧了，我跳我去拿那些金银财宝了有 diamond 所以是这样子咯所以如果我们有修行有功德的话那些护法神就会觉得 OK 啦，比较划算可以帮忙了。不然在那边他们在天堂好像吹 aircon 这样咯，我们在这边哇好像比如说下午晒太阳满身大汗不会下来帮我们的除非有利益到他们就会帮咯
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, any other question?
Because I in my workplace I always encounter issues. Yeah, like the very beginning when the company gave the privilege of having those the coffee Nespresso the type of capsule for the staff to consume, right? So beginning they will charge like 50 cents only so when you want to get one capsule you got to put the 50 cents in then the capsule come out. Then we are the ones who the admins either my colleague or myself that's why we both cannot go on leave, either one so if she's not around I have to cover, I've got to go upstairs and fill up. Then at beginning when they need to put money inside we really have to also have to check like how many we put in. Then we also must know how to we know the password, so we need to open the machine to top up. Wow, I always because I normally don't go and top up one, it's my colleague because it's not convenient for me to run upstairs all the time. So I always have issues how to do the top up. It's very easy, but the thing is you have to know the procedures. Then you know how to slot in the right flavor to the right place. And Baptiste, that French guy who went to your retreat the last time with Dharma Bucks, he and the tiger friend and the tiger friend's friend. Oh, he suddenly appeared in front of me. What's the issue? He was looking at me because he's an engineer, Don't worry, leave it to me. Then he looked at the thing. Then he said, "You have the password." So I open up. Oh, okay. You scan, then you see this one is supposed to be which flavor. The light, the light will come up. Then okay, this is how you fill up. Because it's like the coffee machine can allow you to only fill up to a certain amount. You cannot overfill. Yeah. Then after that, recently, they actually abolished this subsidy payment, so they give them all free. So this time, we also still need to calculate how many capsules we actually top up. Yeah. So that day, what happened was, actually, you can remove the whole thing. You remove the whole thing, then you fill up easier instead of putting one capsule by one capsule into all the different compartments. So also one of them, I don't know whether he's an engineer or not. So he was looking at me, like, wow, very leceh like that, putting one by one into the compartment. Then he told me, this is what you have to do. Bring down the thing and then fill up. Wow, that day I tried doing the same thing. All the capsules all fall out. Wow, I really don't know what to do. That time I really panicky already. So I said, don't know how. I also cannot fix it back. Then suddenly someone was standing next to me. He wanted to make coffee. Then I asked him, you know about this machine? That one was really engineer. I think he was also an engineer. Then he came and looked at the thing. So he turned around and looked at the structure of the machine now. And then he put it back for me. Well, I was actually figuring with the thing quite some time now. I think I spent about 1-2 hours. I cannot put back the whole thing now. Then I said, never mind. Do the long way. Put one by one back. Don't do the same mistake as bring down the whole thing and then I cannot put it back properly. So I really believe that the devas are there to help us when we really need them. It happens. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, so thanks for sharing your experience. Anyone else? Yeah, Anthony.
Okay, in Buddhism there are many traditions.
Okay.
Right? You have Theravadian, you have Vajrayana,
Right.
and so forth. Even within Theravada, you also have many practices.
Yeah, correct.
Every monk has his own interpretation of
Yeah.
suttas, you know.
Mm.
So, I mean, we attend a lot of these talks, we attend a lot of these practices and so on. So it varies, you know, quite to some extreme. If you look at Vajrayana and Theravada, it's so much difference. So how should we view this various Buddhism? All right, because we cannot say that we're going to follow all. You know, we cannot accept all. Then it means that we are not practicing which is right.
Yeah, okay.
All right. So maybe you can help us to see what is good and what is
Okay. Yeah, this is a very good question. So a very similar question was posed to the Buddha by another ascetic called Vajjiya, or Vijaya, Vajjiya. Yeah. So there's this ascetic came up to a Buddha and asked him, India got so many different religions, no? Everyone practice different thing. Their ritual, their rites all different, no? And which one is the correct one? Yeah, so the Buddha said, any practice, any observance, any rituals, any practice you do, if it increases your wholesome qualities, then you continue to do it. If let's say unwholesome qualities increase, then you don't do it. So very simple advice. So that's the gist of it. So regarding Buddhism, more or less the same thing. First is, this is my personal thing. If let's say you want to extrapolate from there is, first does it, if you practice, does it go in line with the Four Noble Truths? Four Noble Truths. Sometimes the statements or the teachings can be like let's say the chanting book can be politically correct, statement, but sometimes our understanding may not be correct. We interpret wrongly. Then end up we practice wrong. So it becomes non-dharma. So sometimes it may not be the teachings, it can be our interpretation. So that is one thing, one point of view. So regarding the different so-called tradition, the different teachings, we may view another tradition teachings not politically correct. I mean, not standard answer, right? Not the standard kind of teaching. But if let's say they are able to perceive it correctly, then good for them. Good for them. So it's a case-by-case basis. Case-by-case basis. So in the end, we have to look back at the benchmark, the 6 qualities of the Dhamma. Does it lead inward to inner peace? Does it give you wisdom? Can you investigate and see for yourself the teachings? Don't have to wait until the next lifetime or look at the past lifetime, that kind of stuff. So every tradition also has some kind of Dhamma which is not here and now to a certain degree, but the real, actual, deeper practice should have the here and now Dhamma. Yeah. Yeah.
In life, can we say that Buddhism is a philosophy? Something like some.
Yeah, if you wish to call it a philosophy, then it's a philosophy.
As in, sometimes it. How do I explain? How do I say? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, if you think the teachings help you, then you can call it a philosophy. Yeah. Because now the trend for the growing belief population is the free thinkers, yeah, the atheists, and they don't subscribe to religion. But if let's say they want to follow some spiritual teaching, then they call themselves spiritual but not religious. And there's such group, spiritual but not religious. They do not want to commit to any organized religion, but they want to do their shopping, take the best of this religious practice, take that from the next religious practice. So they're called spiritual but not religious, because there are people who are not happy. Over time, organized religion have so much scandal or so much corruption or whatever it is. So the teachings itself, the philosophy or the teachings can be very beautiful, very nice. But in practice, when there's a hierarchy, there's a system, certain people in charge, then things sometimes may go ugly. Yeah, so some people do not want to commit to an organized religion. Yeah, they just want to follow a certain teaching or practice. Yeah, so some people say, Buddhism is philosophy. So if when it spread to the West, they are Christian Buddhists or Buddhist Christian. They remain as a Christian, but they want to practice Buddhism, example. So I know of people in Singapore, let's say I have a meditation class in Singapore. I see this guy with turban, he's a Sikh, he also meditate. Then I see a Malay, Muslim also can't meditate. Christians also, they can't meditate. So they want to learn something, but they still remain in their faith, something like that. Yeah. So in a way, Buddhism is sort of flexible. So when, let's say, Buddhism spread to different parts of the world, there's a lot of this syncretism or something enculturation. So let's say the Chinese kind of Buddhism will have a lot of Taoist or folk religion influence also. Yeah, so the Mahayana Buddhism will have all these instruments. Actually, the Taoists use it. So the Mahayana Buddhists, they also follow the culture. Right. So in a way, we are more. If you want to treat it as a philosophy, then it's more flexible. You're more open. If you, let's say, you cling on to certain rituals, I only want to chant without instruments. Then you go to that country, everybody chant with instrument, then you cannot take it. So I think there's certain flexibility. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Yeah, help in the spiritual development. Yeah. Yeah, true. Yeah. So actually, to a certain extent, yes. Yeah, to a certain extent. Yeah. Most of the teachings target for monastics actually. So for layperson, actually very few suttas. Okay. Monastics 就是僧家咯，僧人Yeah, so most of the scripture is the target audience is meant for monastics, but for layperson like you all, fewer teachings. Yeah, but if a person can really follow them, it will be excellent. Yeah. So because probably at that time the main religion, maybe Brahmanism or Hinduism at that time, already teach the foundation, the basics, like children, how you should behave and stuff like that. So the family thing, the family unit thing is already taught very well by the other main religions at the time. So when the Buddha came, he just teach how to meditate only, not like that. Yeah. Okay.
You were saying whether does it align with you by questioning, does it bring wholesomeness or unwholesomeness, so that you can determine which one is the right was that the right religion or teaching, right? But how about there are things that, for example, ritual, the physical ritual things that people do, or maybe to some extent like you're chanting puja or something like that, but you may not see the significant wholesomeness from the beginning. So in that sense, how do we treat it? Is it unwholesome, or is it it just doesn't bring benefit with our shallow understanding? So
very good question. So all the practice have to be related to the Eightfold Path. So if there is no understanding, then you chant, I don't know what you're chanting, right? It's like chanting magical words or magical incantation, right? So it becomes like, what is this ancient mumbo jumbo rubbish, right? So it becomes, once you do not have the right understanding, then whatever we speak, whatever we say, whatever we act, however we bow, the action becomes not right anymore. So you need to have the understanding first. So before you carry out the ritual, it's good to understand. So like let's say you're new to chanting, Pali chanting, that's why I ask you to read the translation to have an understanding. So it's good to have understanding first. If not, the ritual may not make sense.
Just to follow up that question, so even though we understand the definition of chanting, and we follow the process of chanting, right? How does actually chanting being able to materialize, or how does it work?
Chanting have many purposes. So if you look at the contents of different things, it can be for asking for forgiveness, it can be dedication, marriage, it can be reciting the teachings, or just out of faith to recollect the triple gem. So I have many different functions. So the whole idea is to initially chanting is actually for the monastics. Before teachings were written down, in order to preserve the teaching, the monks have to memorize and transmit the teaching orally, oral transmission. So oral tradition basically. So there's no writing, so we have to memorize and then repeat to the student, and the student have to memorize and keep rehearsing. Then he can repeat to the next student. So that's the purpose of chanting initially. So when the teachings are put into writing, the chanting becomes a bit like redundant. And especially now you can Google and find everything online. The teachings is like why waste time memorizing, right? So chanting can also be a form of meditation. If let's say you understand the meaning of the chant, you take any particular short favorite phrase and you keep on repeating. Standing, sitting, walking, lying down, all the activities you do it becomes a meditation. So that's the purpose. So for lay person, like this, the Itipiso chant, the recollection of the Buddha, the Dhamma and the Sangha, the Buddha encouraged a busy working lay person to do this meditation, to recollect the Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha. Even when you're playing with your children, you're busy with work, you can recollect the triple gems. Actually, there's 6 recollection. So if a person were to keep doing that repeatedly in the mind, you can multitask, you do your chores and think of the triple gem. It is possible that a person can have spiritual release also. So that is the end goal.
But if let's say for lay person, since there are so many types of meditation, right? So if you don't use chanting meditation, for instance, so is it okay for you to know zero knowledge of chanting?
You don't have to memorize word for word. The whole idea is to in essence you understand what does the Buddha represent, what does Dhamma mean to you, or what is the Sangha. I think it's good enough. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, someone at the back. Yeah, can you speak to the mic? Yeah. Okay.
因为我是初学者
Okay.
我禅定我的字我不会，所以我一直要 repeat，但我做家务都可以听的。
OK，你不需要背每一个字咯。如果你慢慢学习很好，可以。如果你不会的话，你就起码要知道佛陀代表什么。
因为我在家里厨房我开，但我做家务听的嘛，repeat。
也可以啦，也可以啦。
做家务也是可以啊。
可以。
洗厕所做什么都可以听到。
对。
OK，Thank you。
Okay. So the Thai tradition we play cheat lah. So we use one word only. Yeah, just use Buddho. So this is the hack. Buddho means one of the quality of the Buddha means the enlightened mind. Yeah, so it represents enlightenment. Yeah?
One thing I want to ask you about the ETP there are times when people will do the 108 or either because last time I was at Brother Kanye's class, he was saying that before on New Year's Eve, he said one of the abbot from Wat Ananda sent him, I think was, if I'm not wrong, 57 ETP soul. We chanted 57 ETP soul.
Okay.
But actually he's 56, so they plus 1, is it? So 57. What does this signify?
Actually, the numbers is not so important. The whole idea is to chant the whole day if you really are sort of serious in practicing. So the 108 is I think you attended the class before, the 108 kinds of craving, 108 kinds of feelings. So this is more closely associated with certain probably Hindu numerology or astrology. So the Buddha just make use of the popular belief of certain numerology, the number, and then he makes sense by putting certain teachings to it. Yeah, so the whole idea is to chant the whole day.
So we have to do the full ETP soul or how?
The whole idea is to recollect the virtues that make your mind delighted and at peace.
Sorry, we will continue until the Sangha finish the last part.
Up to you. You can just do one. You can just do the Buddha only, or you can do 3, or you can just do the Dhamma or the Sangha. Yeah. So again, what you chant is one thing. Sometimes people chant the politically correct words, pronunciation, everything correct, but they don't know the meaning. Like people chant Buddha, right? But then they go to Buddha, pray for 40 numbers. Yeah? So totally wrong understanding. So the words is one thing. Your intention must be correct. Yeah? Understanding must be correct.
Let's say the Parita chanting. If we don't use the Parita version to chant, we use the English version to chant.
That's fine. Yeah, as long as you have the right understanding, then there's merit. If there's no right understanding, you can chant how beautiful the Pali, the pronunciation, the melody, whatever, very nice.
Because I know in the
No
YouTube,
use,
got one Western monk, I can't remember his name. He chanted the Ratana Sutta in English.
Okay. Okay.
Even Dhamma Chaka Pavatana Sutta, also there's one version that they chanted in English.
Okay. Yeah, this is actually what the Buddha allowed, to use your own mother tongue to recite the Dhamma. So this is what the Buddha allowed actually.
So still got power, Bante.
There's no power. The idea is this is not magical chanting, This is not a magical incantation. Yeah. So that's why a lot of people, especially the Siamese Buddhism, Thai Buddhism, they combine a lot with this spiritism and animism. And you see a lot of them open those shop houses and then they chant a lot of this gatha. Basically, it's all this chant. Then sometimes they want to make it more powerful. They chant in reverse order. Itipiso, they chant Tobalik. And they say this is more powerful. Then they'll tattoo this chant into your body and stuff like that. So it's they use the politically correct words, but totally different, out of context, wrong context. Yeah. So this is not how it's meant to be. So it's not about the language; it's about understanding. Yeah.
So about chanting mantras, yeah. I mean, for mantras, I believe there are powers, right, in chanting the mantra.
Okay, so if you want to talk about powers, you have to talk about the definition of power. How do you interpret power? If it's talk about spiritual transformation, to turn yourself, transform to a better person, then that kind of power, I can go with that. Yeah.
But some of these mantras, they say that it gives protection to the practitioner.
Scared of evil.
Okay. So protection, again, there are lots of things. The words used have to be subject to interpretation. Like, for example, one of the benefits of metta, one of the benefits of loving kindness, it will protect you from fire, poison, and weapon. And that doesn't mean you become immune and godlike and everything. No. You have to look at the case studies. Like the Buddha also get injured, he got food poisoning before he died, or sort of passed away, and stuff like that. So a person is not physically immune to this kind of things. So they talk about mental immunity, the mentally not shaken. So this protection is the spiritual, the mental kind of protection.
But actually, on the other aspect, let's say if the person always practice the chanting of mantras, would it be able to help him to be a better person? Like if he's a very bad-tempered person, can actually the mantra help him to stay more calm? Yeah, and look at everything at a better angle.
It depends on their right understanding and right intention. If their intention is not right, then they can chant for years and years and still behave very badly. Yeah.
So you'll be very sorry.
Okay, no problem. You can pass the mic to
Can I bring this book home?
you have to ask the organizer. This is not my
This
book.
one for Mandarin.
Huh? Yeah, got Mandarin, right? Yeah, that's why.
它有翻译的。
Yeah, Palelai chanting book, no Chinese.
Don't have. Then
Yeah.
sometimes I cannot.
Yeah, so you can
But
later.
I need
You can
to
ask
for
Terence. Later you can ask Terence. Huh? Yeah.
End of the day lah.
String the chanting book now so that we can carry it everywhere.
String the chanting book to.
Your Palilan chanting book very big.
Okay, so now they encourage the e-version, especially COVID that time. They have the QR code, then you scan the chanting book is on the phone. Yeah.
Very difficult for me to see.
Okay, yeah, you can enlarge the screen now. Yeah, then the font look bigger.
Double vision.
Okay. Anything else you want to ask? Okay. All right. Any other question?
We are all invited.
Okay.
From monistic point of view, if you understand
We pass the mic. Yeah. So the people at the back can hear also.
From monastic point of view or layperson, if you already understand chant, right? You understand the meanings and all that. Why do you need to keep repeating and repeating? Is it?
Okay. The repetition is to again the right effort. Because if it's a meditation, you keep on repeating is to keep on going against the stream. Yeah, because once we stop only, naturally the mind will cling to probably unwholesome stuff like. So we are creating good karma all the time, every moment. Yeah. Okay, Terence, someone is asking, can they bring the chanting book home? can. 可以啊。
Okay, sorry. Let's say I only got
Time to do chanting at night. So if every night I go back, just now is I usually will do the three refuge and 5 precept.
Okay.
I don't take 8 precept already. Yeah. So after I do this already, then I will continue with all the Parita chanting I learned from Brother Ling Huat lah, but 3 only lah. Ratana Sutta.
Okay.
Yeah, but I'll start with the Mangala Sutta first, then
Okay.
I do Ratana Sutta, then followed by Karaniya Metta. Because Bante, you said if I do this one, I will have better sleep, right? Yeah, don't have this those.
If you practice metta, you have the benefits is you sleep happily.
Not you're not afraid lah, right? Because at time I got very bad.
Okay.
So if let's say now like that, I can, I should do itipiso. I do itipiso, but I only chant 1 round only. Then after that I follow by the 3 suttas.
Okay. Yeah, if it's a formal like chanting session, then you stick to a certain routine. But if you talk about real cultivation, you can just stick to one, let's say the Buddha Nusati or any recollection, and you just keep repeating.
But I still cannot sleep until after 11.
Yeah, if you want to sleep, then you shouldn't repeat too much. Yeah, so that's why we say in meditation, if you do nothing, you fall asleep. Doing nothing is meant for sleeping. So some people do the other way around. Before they sleep, they keep repeating. Then cannot sleep. Too alert, cannot sleep. Wow, so the mind so wakeful, too recharged, cannot sleep already. This is meant for meditation time. So when you want to sleep, then you should do nothing. Yeah.
Oh, so the best is when I reach home.
Yeah.
After a shower, I do the chanting
Yeah.
first. Then because usually after, I always after that I wait for your session to come out your meditation. Then when your meditation finish, except for Tuesday, because Brother Terence program always end at 10, will be too late. So normally I don't do on Tuesday. I mean other days I would normally do after your meditation ends.
Okay.
Or I should do before your meditation starts.
Up to you.
Huh?
Up to you.
But you say better not to. You have to do nothing when you want to go and sleep. Not chant.
No, you have to try out. Then you know yourself. Huh?
No, I normally do after your meditation class.
Okay.
Yeah, if I cannot come back on time.
Yeah. So it's up to your schedule and timing.
Okay. Thank you, Bante.
Okay. All right. Anyone else? How long is this Q&A session? Nice. 8:30. Yeah. Anyone else? Any question?
maybe the opportunity. Like Brother Terence said, like Bante.
Okay, if there's no issues, then we have a 5-minute break. Then we come back. Come back for more. Now it's more on the scripture sharing session. So somebody requested me to discuss on this Karaniya Metta Sutta, page 21. So we chanted this earlier. Who have not come across the teachings of this Karaniya Metta Sutta before? Okay, we have a few people. Okay, so this teaching, Karaniya Metta Sutta, is universally chanted by all Theravada tradition. So don't care whether your Sri Lanka tradition, Thai tradition, or Burmese tradition, they will chant this. Karaniya Metta Sutta. So this is supposedly very important sutta. Very important sutta. So there is pretext. Now, how this sutta come to be, or rather a story of how this sutta come to be, it is believed that a group of monks were meditating in a forest. A group of monks are meditating in a forest, and then they experience some supernatural kind of unpleasant encounter. And there's 3 spirits over there, or the 4 spirits, do not really welcome these monks. Do not really welcome these monks. Because we go to nature, not every place, all the beings there are okay, Some of them are territorial, very territorial, and a bit unwelcoming. So when the monks meditate at the time, they manifest a lot of scary image and chase them away. So the monks decided to leave, and they went to see the Buddha. So the Buddha taught them this, Karaniya Metta Sutta. So afterwards, they go back, they practice, no more problem. Somehow the 3 spirits or whatever like them already. So this is the Karaniya Metta Sutta. So over time, people chant this, and they treat this as exorcism chant. Exorcism chant, to chase away ghosts. Actually, that's not the purpose of this chant. It's not the exorcism chant. So if a person were to really read the meaning, like we are going to go through now, then you understand it's actually instruction on how to practice and how to cultivate. So it's not chanting for the sake of chanting. So if a person can chant every Pali word very accurately, doesn't mean they know how to practice. Like if a person, the common example I give is, imagine if, let's say, we are a sick patient, we go and see a doctor, and the doctor give us instruction. After meal, you take this tablet 3 times a day. After meal, 3 times a day. Every time take 1 tablet. So this patient remember this doctor's instruction, and he go back and he chant the instruction. Every time take this tablet 3 times a day. After meal, 1 tablet. Keep chanting. Do you think he will get cured from his illness? If he never take the medicine, he won't follow the treatment protocol. Basically, he's just chanting the protocol. Maybe he'll get cured. Maybe due to placebo effect. But the idea is, when we are chanting, it's not the same as practicing the instruction. It is not the same as practicing the instruction. So now we are going to recite, or I'll just read through and probably try to explain some of the key terms. So in the Buddha's time, when the monks were reciting, they are reciting in their language, the language which they understand. So that's why it makes sense for them to recite, so they understand. So nowadays, we recite, it's in the language that we don't understand. So it don't really make so much sense. Okay, so I'm going to just read through. The first verse, page 21. One skilled in good, wishing to attain the state of peace, should act thus. Okay, one skilled in good, wishing to attain the state of peace. Okay, first is we need to have right view. So this whole sutta is actually explaining this Noble Eightfold Path. Noble Eightfold Path. So wishing to attain a state of peace, some translators will put a bracket, they put Nibbana. So if a person wants to get liberation, get this ultimate peace, then you should practice accordingly. So this is actually an instructional manual. So one skill in good. So this is meant for people who is wholesome, not for people who are unwholesome. If you are unwholesome, then you can forget about Nibbana. So this is meant for skill in good, people who are wholesome. he should be able, straight, upright, obedient, gentle, humble. Okay. So I am not the academic, I am not the Pali scholar, so I'll just interpret according to my understanding. So able would be their faculties are there to understand the teaching. That's one of the criteria. And then able is also they do not have the 6 kind of heinous crimes. Yeah, that means they are not bound for lower realm, they are not stubborn in their wrong view, so they are able to accept the teachings. Their mind is wholesome to a certain degree, they are able to understand the teachings, and they are willing to practice. They are willing to practice. So this is the minimum criteria. So they are able, so they are capable to at least follow the teachings, follow the instruction. Because if a person is not able to understand, then basically the Buddha is wasting his time. The Buddha is uttering, then you don't understand. Right? So the whole idea is the Buddha will assess. If you are capable, then the Buddha will teach. Yeah, so this is the minimum criteria. First, you need to be able. Yeah, like when the Buddha, before he got enlightened, he sort of like refused to teach or reluctant to teach, right? Until this Brahma Sampati, the 4-faced Brahma, came down and invite the Buddha to teach. So the Brahma mentioned that there are beings who are able to understand the Dhamma. Yeah, able to understand the Dhamma. Yeah, it's just like the lotus. Some of them are very deep down inside the mud. Still cannot perceive the surface. Some of the lotus are ready to bloom, near the surface. So they are talking about people who are quite mature, spiritually ready or mature to understand. So some people are able to understand the teachings. Some people have little dust in their eyes, right? So they're able to accept. Because not everybody are able to accept. You try to, like certain religion, they come and sort of proselytize. They'll tell you, you must believe in our teaching. If not, you're born into this woeful place, for example. So not everybody can accept you. How can you force your belief into me, right? They are not ready to accept. They are not ready for the teaching. So same thing for Buddhists. If let's say we try to proselytize, you must believe in the triple gem. If not, you're born into the lower realms. You tell them this, the people say rubbish. So they are not able to accept the teachings, or not open to you. So again, it's a demand and supply thing. So there must be an interest, willingness to learn, right? So a person must be able, and then you have the straight. They are very straight. That means they are not dishonest, upright. Yeah, morally character, upright and straight. Obedient. Obedient means follow instructions. So if the Buddha teach something, and then some people don't follow instruction, they do something else. So if you don't follow, then you cannot get the same result. So likewise, when we sort of learn meditation from different teachers, ideally is to follow the instruction. If let's say the teacher is giving one instruction and you're doing something else, then later say, no, I cannot do it or cannot experience it. Then it's something like that. You get this problem. So if you're obedient, you're following the system. If you follow the system, then there's a higher chance of getting the intended kind of result. So obedient is there. Gentle. So it is an important quality to be gentle. So loving kindness is associated with this gentleness, not to be forceful, do not force the mind, so you need this gentleness. And humble, not to be egoistic. So after all, the practice is to overcome ego eventually. Overcome ego. So all these are important traits. Okay, then the next line, he should be contented, easy to support. Contented means not greedy lah. Yeah, not greedy. So contentment can come two ways. One is from the ground-up approach, that means from the precepts. That means, let's say, this one is meant for monastics actually. If a person is contented, that means I don't ask for a lot of things. Yeah. Easy to support. Okay, how many of you are sort of still working? Still working, yeah? How many of you are not working anymore? Yeah, so basically not working like same as monastic. Yeah? Quite close to like monastic. So you are sort of, if let's say are you living off, let's say, any children's support? Partly, yeah? So if let's say you're easily supportable, then your children won't be too stressed. If let's say your expenses are very high, then you're giving a lot of stress to your children. So same thing for monastics. If the monastic, like myself, if I'm not easily supportable, I demand a lot of things, I want a lot of items, I want to buy this, buy that, buy this, buy that, then it's considered not easily supportable. Then soon a lot of people will run away from me. Then no more lay supporters. So you need to have easy to support. That's contentment from the ground up approach. That means monastic rule. I follow the monastic rule, and the rule says we cannot demand things from a lay person that is not related to by blood. So basically I can request things from my family members. That's okay. But for, let's say, non-family members, I cannot request from them unless they make an invitation. Let's say maybe Terence say, Bante, if you need anything, you can please let me know. That's an invitation. Yeah, so if there's anything, then I let him know. Yeah, so that's an invitation. Then I can ask for things. Yeah? So that is the monastic rule point of view. Yeah? But if you want to talk about top-down point of view, top-down approach is, let's say you meditate, then you, let's say, have maybe some, you reduce your greed, then that is the top-down approach, the spiritual point of view. So if a person have less greed, then naturally they'll be contented. Okay, then the next one, few duties. Yeah, few duties. So this one, few duties doesn't mean no duties. So in your life, you need to moderate. If you want to be a high performer, make sure you don't do too much until you overstress, cannot handle. Yeah, if there's too much stress, also not healthy. So if you want to talk about improving yourself spiritually, you need to find the right amount of chores so that you don't feel overstressed. Yeah, so this is depending on your commitment. You must scale your commitment to your spiritual commitment. Yeah, depends on what's your priority. If your priority is materialism, then you forget about this spirituality. Then you, of course, you aim for your high KPI or whatever performance. Then you get stressed. Some people too much stress until they have depression, psychological issues, emotional issues, a lot of problems. So you need to find your own moderation. Okay, so this is called few duties. Okay, living lightly. Yeah, living lightly. Living lightly means possessions. Possessions. So the monks in the Buddha's time, they basically are wandering around. They do not, especially in the early days, they still do not have monasteries. No monasteries. So that's why they need to stay in the forest. Yeah, they stay in different forests. They move around. So they need to be light. If they have many luggages, very hard to travel. Very hard to travel. So at that time, light would be one bowl, the alms bowl, and probably one set of robes. Yeah? So that's considered light. Anything else considered luxury. Yeah, so this is called traveling light. Yeah. Control in senses. So control in senses is very high level thing, high level meditation. Control in senses. So we have these 6 senses we talked about yesterday, eye, ear, nose, tongue, body and mind. So not being controlled in senses means you see something beautiful, wow, so nice, then you fantasize about it. So that's being not controlled in senses. Anything pleasant, then you have greed. You react with greed. Anything you see that's unpleasant, then you react with aversion. Then you want to think of unwholesome thoughts, how to avoid it or get rid of it. So that is called not controlled in senses. Eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, mind, say. So control in senses, there are 2 ways. If you are a high level practitioner, then you apply right thought. So basically that's the thing we are doing all the time in our meditation routine. Always have loving kindness first or think of impermanence. So this is control in your senses. That means you avoid over dramatizing into your senses. So that is one level of defense. If your Kung Fu is not good enough, then reduce your activity. Reduce your activity. So for example, that's why we have the 8 precepts, right? Reduce the entertainment, reduce a lot of things. And if you come for retreat, we don't have to be too worried about making our livelihood. So that's why we try not to look at the message about our company. Yeah, then we worry for your livelihood. Okay? Okay, so we reduce all these activities. And for our senses, so that's why when we look at the Buddha image, you see the Buddha always cast the eyes downwards. Gaze downwards. Gaze downwards. You don't see the Buddha like that. Go look around. Yeah? Then the mind, the senses will be scattered. And the mind will be scattered. So you can experiment. You look around versus you look down. Gently gaze down, not to stare, not to squint at something. Just gently gaze down. And see what's the difference. So there's a calming effect, right? The mind is not so drained. Because if you have more stimuli, then the more things the mind need to cognize. Waste more energy. So you want to control your senses, is basically to preserve energy. Preserve energy, not to drain too much energy. It's like your handphone, you have the battery saving mode. So control your senses. So don't use too much of these apps. Okay, so discreet, not impudent. Okay, my English also not very good. So discreet would be, you do things, don't have to show off. Don't have to show off. So you do things, like if you see anything dirty, you don't have to tell people, hey, I clean this place, I clean this place. You don't have to announce to everybody. So discreet, you do your chore, you do your part, you play your role. Yeah, so this is discreet. Impudent. Anybody knows the meaning of impudent? Humble and what? Not conceited. Yeah, not egoistic. Not egoistic. So it's more or less the same thing. Unattached to families. So unattached to families is again for monks. So if the monks, let's say they go for alms round, they don't always go the same place. If let's say they know this person is a rich family, they always give nice food. Then they are attached to the family, they want the nice food. So every time they go to the same house. Don't attach to family. So we have this practice, go to different place. Always go to different place. Or some people know they have these rich supporters. Then they always approach them. So they say don't attach to families. So that's the meaning. Okay, then the next one. He should not do any slight wrong, for which the wise might censure him. So basically, is somebody asked a question about certain communities, if they do not uphold certain moral standards, so the advice is to follow your conscience. So if a person not sure whether the conscience is correct, then we use the benchmark of the wise person. So the wise person would be any saint, or at least the Buddha. For example, the Buddha, if there's any mention in the teachings of what should be done or what should not be done. So if you are not sure whether your conscience is correct, then you can follow the precept, not to do certain things, right? So that is the idea. Okay, so this is the wise might censure him. Okay. Then the next one. May all beings be happy and secure. May all beings have happy minds. So this is the right thought. Yeah, right thought. So earlier on, all the good qualities and do not do all the wrong things is your right speech and right action, right livelihood. And then we have the right thought. May all beings be well. So the original sutta instruction, original teaching is to wish all beings straight away. So nowadays the popularized version is to wish yourself, then wish your family, wish your close friends, then wish neutral party, then followed by wish your enemies. So these are post-canonical teachings, post-canonical meditation manuals. So these are the commenters or the commentators which write their own manual. So they came up with this system. Wish your close one, then wish your this, wish your that. So one of the popular this metta chant, by Aimee Ooi, yeah. So she chant this metta chant is the post-canonical version. Post-canonical version. So you wish yourself well, then you wish your family, then followed by wish some other beings. So the original teaching in all the suttas is to straight away wish all beings well. Yeah? So there's a difference. So earlier on we did the experiment. If you wish yourself, then it becomes, there's a self-cherishing thought. You're creating the concept, I wish myself. Then there's an I there. So you're creating the I there, and you're trying to overcome the I. So it's a bit conflicting. So that's why in the routine, we don't have the I statement. We straight away wish the sensation well, or wish the hairs well. So we treat the object as it is. So if we put the I inside, become my sensation, my experience, then you're creating the conceit there. You're creating the ego there. Then you stain the loving kindness. You contaminate the loving kindness. And then if you start to wish your loved ones, and also the same thing, it becomes a different emotion. It's not the same as the middle way loving kindness. Very different. So it becomes no different from any Pai Joistic Buddhists. So they go to the temple, the Pai formula, you wish yourself, wish all your loved ones, Ping An, safe and successful and all. So no different from that. So if you want to be following instructions, or at least a meditator, then we try to have a more noble aspiration, is to wish all beings well and happy. How many Pai person wish all beings well? Anybody taught you, when you Pai that time, wish all beings well, wish all beings free from suffering? Anybody? Nobody, because this is meditator doing. So unless you want to bring this to the ritual, then very good. Then you're the first person to bring cultivation to the ritual. Then it becomes no longer wrong rites and ritual. It becomes the right rites and ritual. Any ritual that is wholesome is considered right ritual. So if the ritual they do, they Pai, they burn the joss stick ready, and they wish all beings well and safe, then very good. Bagus. I support this ritual. Okay. So this one is important to set the right motivation. If not, we might spend too much time on this personal affection, and we may not get the enough wholesome karma or the right kind of result. So imagine if, let's say, my social media have few thousand friends, or few thousand friends and family members. So I want to wish this category, all my friends and close ones, well and happy. Then, I must spend many hours wishing them. Very jialat. So you spend a lot of time doing this, then you have very little time doing the actual loving kindness. A lot of time cultivating personal affection. So no more loving kindness. Okay, then the next one. Whatever living beings there may be, without exception, weak or strong, long, large, middling, short, subtle or gross, but visible, invisible, living near or far, born or coming to birth. So basically all these are trying to define what are all beings. Trying to define what are all beings. Because some people, you straight away tell them all beings, then they will think all human beings only. All human beings only. So this one trying to define what are all beings. So all beings including all the unseen beings, all creatures, all species, all races. So that's what it means. And you wish them, may all beings have happy minds. So number 6 paragraph. Let no one deceive another, nor despise anyone anywhere. Neither in anger or ill will should anyone wish harm to another. Yeah, so this one is avoiding unwholesome thought. So it's part of right effort. Yeah, part of right effort. As a mother would risk her own life to protect her only child. Yeah, even so towards all living beings. One should cultivate a boundless heart. So if a person were to just read starting from paragraph 7, then they would say, mother's love equals to loving kindness. Mother's love equals to loving kindness. How many mothers here? Okay, mother's love. Yeah, so mother's love, I know it's a very noble thing, but as we did our experiment, it's a very different love from wishing all beings well and happy. Very different emotion. So there will be some attachment involved. So if you were to take in the context of the entire teaching, including the previous paragraph, not to, how do you call this? The previous few paragraphs, to wish all beings have happy minds. So the statement would mean to treat that thought, wishing all beings well and happy, as like a child. You do not want to leave that thought, and you want to protect the child. That means you protect this meditation object. Because once you leave the meditation object, it's equals to like losing the child. Yeah. So this is how I interpret it. It's not to leave the thought, it's to protect the thought of wishing all beings well and happy. Not to equate this mother's love to loving kindness. Yeah. Okay. Even so, towards all living beings, one should cultivate a boundless heart. Yeah. So this is the boundless heart aspect, lah. Okay. So in life we have different interpersonal kind of relations and in different interpersonal behaviors. Like for example, let's say a parent, they behave to their child. There's a certain behavior, right? Certain mannerism and talking. You cannot use the same thing to your colleague. Correct? You cannot use the same kind of behavior to your boss or the same behavior to your friend or same behavior to any stranger. Because if you do so, it'll be very problematic. You create a lot of problem. You hug and kiss your child, you cannot do this to someone else. Very problematic. So, so there will be differences. A person will feel different, emotionally different. This is normal reflex action. You need to have certain social boundaries, different social mannerism, which is very normal. So what we are cultivating is to wish all beings well and happy regardless of circumstances, regardless of different scenario. You meet your colleagues, you wish all beings well and happy. You meet somebody you do not like, also you wish all beings well and happy. Yeah, you meet somebody you like, also wish all beings well and happy. Right, so that's the idea, boundless heart. Okay, then we move on to the paragraph 8. Yeah, also to add on, the target audience then are monks. Yeah? So the monks may not know what is mother's love, because the monks are male. Okay, so one should cultivate for all the world a heart of boundless loving kindness, above, below, across, unobstructed, without hate or enmity. Yeah, so we cultivate this loving kindness in all directions. So we call this an expanded mind. Yeah, so in our routine, we start off with a restricted mind. Get to familiarize the 4 elements within the confines of the body. Then later on, we wish all directions, right, above, below, all across, all directions. So this is the one. Unobstructed. Unobstructed means no pushing. Because once you start to push, you are creating this restriction. You are creating a resistance. But if you have a gentle wish and you let the mind expand naturally by itself, then it becomes unobstructed. So it doesn't matter how far it goes. It's a kind of perception only. If the mind want to go 2 meters and 2 meters, if it's 10 meters and 10 meters, that doesn't matter. So the whole idea is you wish all beings, all directions. You don't have to purposely push the mind. No pushing. So once you push, you're creating resistance and obstruction. Without hate or enmity. So once there's obstruction, once there's resistance, there will be aversion. So do not try to push. So it's a relaxed, open awareness or this expanded mind. Okay. Whether standing, walking or sitting, lying down or whenever awake, he should develop this mindfulness. This is called divinely dwelling here. So this is called part of right mindfulness. So some people always think practice, meditation means sitting only. No, real practice is 24/7, minus your sleeping time. As long as you're awake, whenever awake. All posture, all activity, even when you're doing chores, also can have loving kindness. Very important. Not falling into erroneous views. So talking about the previous one, this right mindfulness. So this standing, walking or sitting, lying down is part of mindfulness of the body. Mindfulness of all your postures. Very important. So, and if a person is mindful of this loving kindness, it's called mindfulness of mind states. Chittanusati, states of mind. So you're actually practicing this, all the foundation of mindfulness. Okay, not falling into erroneous views, but virtuous, endowed with vision, removing desire for sensual pleasures. He comes never again to birth in the womb. So erroneous views, there are many kinds of wrong views. Some people do loving kindness because they want to improve their business. They want to have more customers. They thought loving kindness can attract more customers, or they want to practice loving kindness to find their life partner. Yeah, they need loving kindness to attract a life partner. So they want to practice loving kindness. So all kinds of wrong views. Yeah, so from a very gross one to subtle one. Subtle ones would be many. So some of the examples would be the post-canonical examples which I gave you all, certain practices. So if a person only cling on to, let's say, they equate, let's say, personal affection to equals loving kindness, that would be a kind of being stuck. So one way to counter it is to practice all the Brahma Viharas plus reflect on impermanence. So even they may stay with this personal affection, once they practice detachment, they will move away from these extremes. Yeah? So that is one way to overcome erroneous views also. So when we practice this boundless loving kindness, it is close to the middle path, but still not yet detachment. Not yet detachment. So we need the element of impermanence. We need to be mindful of impermanence. So you get us closer to the middle path. Purify the view. Virtuous endowed with vision. Yeah. So vision would be having right view. Yeah. Removing desire for sensual pleasures. Okay, so if a person is aiming for Nibbana, ultimately one will overcome this greed and anger, no more sensual desire. Then he never comes again to the womb. So that is equate to fulfilling the first statement. So if a person wants to aim for this ultimate calm, eventually they will reach this either Arahant or non-returner. Arahant or non-returner. How many of you are not clear of these terms? What is Arahant, what is non-returner? 三果罗汉跟四果罗汉知道吗？阿罗汉是觉者啦，对了，比较高了，OK 所以我们的这个僧人呢，有这个一果罗汉、二果罗汉、三果罗汉、四果罗汉呢你知道有什么分别吗？不知道所以我们念的这个三宝念这个Satipatthana Bhagavato Savaka Sangho所以回向这个僧宝僧宝有九种功德所以里面其中一个有讲到有4 pairs of person, 8 types of individual. Yeah. 所以这个4 stages of this enlightenment. So the first pair of person is a person who are on the path to stream entry. Then the next one is the fruition of stream entry. So this is the first pair of person. The second pair of person is they are on the way, on the path to one's returner. And the next one is they have reached the fruit of this one's returner. And the same path and fruit to non-returner, and the path to fruit to Arahant. So total these are the 4 pairs of person. 8 types of individuals. So these are the Sangha. Right? So if a person never get reborn in the womb, so ideally these are the 3rd and 4th stage of enlightenment. Either they are non-returner or an Arahant. Non-returner or an Arahant. So a stream enterer will be reborn 7 times maximum. That means they can come back as a human again, or the Deva realm. So they no longer be reborn in the lower realms. No more animal, no more ghosts, no more hungry, no more hell realms. So these are the stream enterer. So they can be reborn as a human or a deva. So human still, there's a womb. So the next one is this once returner. Once returner, that means they come back once to the human world. So still have to come back to the womb. Whereas a non-returner, non-returner means a person born in a special place in heaven called a pure abode. Yeah, so that's a non-returner. So they'll be reborn there and they'll reach enlightenment there. And Arahant would be if a person reach an Arahant in this lifetime, no more rebirth. So no more coming to the womb. So there's a possibility, Arahant or non-returner. So that's the final product. Yeah. So that's the end of my sharing. What time is it now? Yeah, 9+ already. People want to sleep. Yeah. Any question? All okay? Okay, if there's no more questions, then we call it a night and see you all tomorrow morning. Is this morning's timing okay? Do you find it too rush or just nice? Still okay, huh? Yeah, then we stick to the same plan tomorrow morning.